17th century French architects. The first architect we're going to talk about is Pierre Lescot. He was born around 1510 and he died around 1578, and this is a picture of him right here. His birthplace was Paris, the capital of France, but even though it says 1510, even though that is not the 17th century, the things he worked on, like as we're going to talk about, he works on the Louvre. It was a big impact, and it carried over into the 17th century. And honestly, if you look at France's architecture, the impact of his work on the Louvre is very, very remarkable. It spreads throughout the entire capital and even farther into northern France. Pierre was hired by King Francis I to work on the Palais du Louvre, and that was the big museum in Paris that held thousands upon thousands of pieces of art today. And he worked on the Louvre until his death, but however, he only completed the west and the south side. The Louvre was not his only work. His other works include the Hotel de Lignerie in 1548, and around 1548 was the Fountain of Nymphs and the Chateau de Valerie. In these pictures, the one to the top left right here is the eastern side of the Louvre, which is what he worked on, Lescot worked on for quite some time until his death. And then way down here at the bottom left is his other piece of architecture, the Fountain of Nymphs. And that wasn't as well known, but as you can see as I'm circling it right now, it is a pretty simple, but it has stood there since the beginning of its creation. And then this one right here is also the Louvre, but it's the western side, and that was the side that the next architect we're going to talk about, that was the side he worked on. But just try to remember what that looks like in comparison to this right here. His overall impact was actually very significant. Even though not many people know about him or know his name, they do know about the Louvre and how amazing it is. That he was the creator of the design for the Louvre, which is now one of the largest museums in the world. In fact, it is said that if you looked at each painting in there for 15 seconds each, you wouldn't be done for the next year or two. Without his input onto the design for the Louvre, many claim that it would not have been as big an influence on France as it has today. The next architect we're going to talk about is Claude Perrault, and he was born September 25th, 1613, and he died October 9th, 1688. His birthplace was also Paris, and he died in Paris as well. Just as the previous architect, he was a contributor to the Louvre as well. He helped create the eastern wing. He also translated the Vitruvius, which is a 10-book Roman architecture book, into French with his own annotations and different notes and ideas. He also built an observatory and the church of Saint Benoit le Breton. Interestingly enough, he wasn't just an architect. He also was an anatomist and a physicist who wrote treatises on physics and natural history. He also wrote one on the 5 classical orders of architecture. He built an arc much like the Arc de Triomphe. However, it wasn't as beautiful to the Parisians. It was so revolting that after his death they tried to tear it down. The only problem was he made it with interlocking stone so that the mass was near inseparable. So in the beginning he knew they weren't going to like it, and so he just erected it and just left it there so they couldn't tear it down. Other than the Eiffel Tower, the Louvre is one of the most well-known pieces of architecture in France. And the fact that Perrault was able to contribute to that, much like Lescot, means that he had a very, very large impact on the overall modern architecture of France. The Louvre is one of the most modern architectures that has stood the test of time today, and the fact that these architects were able to work on it and design something that lasts even now is remarkable. His translation of the 10-book Roman Vitruvius, as we mentioned before, was also essential to the future and even the times then scholars of France. In conclusion, the two architects both contributed to the construction of one of the landmarks of the French culture, the Louvre. The style of the Louvre has lasted throughout the entire surrounding city of Paris for centuries. Paris, if you look at all of the other buildings around it, you will see that they all resemble the different types of architecture inside the Louvre and outside of it. It truly is a remarkable building, and the two architects that were able to contribute to the whole group of architects that worked on it were also as intelligent and had a great impact on the architecture of the 17th century.